Thank you. Further discussion, Senator Riviere?
Thank you. In support of the amendment.
Please proceed.
The reason I'm in support of the amendment is not because I think this makes it a good bill, but I think the whole effort that we are under here, as well-intentioned as it may be, is misguided. The theme of the day from my comments seems to have been that we keep interfering with the judicial process. There was a court ruling in January that we're all aware of that mandated, and I guess I'll just read it. It's really simple. In paragraph 6, it says HRS 171-10 and 171-55 authorize the temporary occupation of public lands. A and B's continuous, uninterrupted use of public lands on a holdover basis for the last 13 years is not the temporary use that HRS Chapter 171 envisions. So that's the court ruling. That's it. Effectively, that's the ruling. So I wonder, what is a holdover permit? What do they refer to here? And in testimony in the court, in the minutes, we know that there are only 4 holdover permits. So what is a holdover permit? Chapter 171-40, expired leases holdover. Upon expiration of the lease term, if the leased land is not otherwise disposed of, the Board of Land and Natural Resources may allow the lessee to continue to hold the land for a period not exceeding 1 year until such rent, terms, and conditions as the board may prescribe. And then it talks about temporary revocable permits as another level of that. So the only definition of holdover that I'm aware of is at the expiration of a lease. The water permits that Alexander Baldwin and EMI have that expired many years ago now have been held over to try to resolve that. Of course, there's been a contested case. We're all well aware of the controversies over the in-stream flow standards. Larry Miiki, the manager of this case, issued his findings of fact and conclusions of law back in January. So what happened? Right within about a week or two on either side, the commissioner came back and said, here are the in-stream flow standards. They were identified. The science, it's done. It's here we are. Here's what should happen. In that same period of time, Alexander Baldwin said, well, we're out of business. We're going to close down the sugar mill, which actually means they don't need any more water because they're not growing sugar. At the same time they did that, then the court issued its ruling. And then now, here's the complicating factor, is now that they have changed their business model, they're no longer growing sugar, and we all want to support diversified agriculture, they're not presenting a bona fide agricultural plan to continue using the water. We all know that you cannot divert water unless you have a need for that water. So I want to be very, very clear here. I am supportive of keeping Central Maui green. I'm supportive of ranching and agriculture, diversified agriculture. But at this point, that doesn't exist. It may yet exist, and I hope it does exist, but Alexander Baldwin's been studying for decades what they should have in replacement. They're laying people off. They're not moving to the diversified agriculture. If they had a business plan ready to go, they would be moving those people into that other job. So I can feel for the unemployment that's coming. I live in Waialua. We had a sugar mill close in 1998, and it was a sad time, and it took a long time for our community to recover. Things have turned around very nicely now. We've adjusted to that. Our high school is doing well. Our local elementary schools are doing well. There's a confidence in the community that hasn't been much lately. So, well, what about this? We're going to turn off all the water. We can't have the water. Oh, my goodness. Everything's going to go dry. It'll be Dust Bowl, and everything's going to happen. The County of Maui submitted a stay of motion. They said, wait a minute. We need water for our residents upcountry. And the court ruled, yes, any action on that is state. I would further add on a little aside that state law, Chapter 171, 58- and Part D, allows for the overriding of any permits when human life is threatened. So there is zero chance that any water to upcountry would be revealed. So the stay was issued. In paragraph 3 of the stay, it says A and B's defendants, having failed to join the county's motion for stay, are not entitled to relief at this time, but are not precluded from filing their own motion for stay of enforcement of the January 8th order. So here we are. We say that this bill is not special treatment for one large landowner. We amend a bill in its final committee and say that this particular holdover permit company, the company with the holdover permits, is excluded from the bill. Yet the bill doesn't say that. The current bill that we're seeking to amend says that somebody can apply on or after the execution of this document. Anybody can then reapply for that. And that's actually reasonable to the extent that it's wide sweeping. My problem with this is that we are still trying to interfere with the judicial proceedings that are underway. There are in-stream flow standards, but now that everything's changing, they have to go back and reanalyze that. They're going to have to reanalyze that based on the need. It's very clear that the Ecolo farmers, the low Ecolo farmers and the folks that live along the streams in East Maui, it's very clear that they've been denied water. So I think we can all agree that the water needs to get back to these people as quick as possible. By clouding the whole issue here and interfering with this whole process, I think we're making the matters worse, and we're going to take even longer to get the water back to where it belongs, at least some of it, okay? If we have to divert, and we should divert, and we have a reason to divert, then let's go. Let's get that environmental impact statement rolling. Let's get those permits moving. This amendment adds one sentence. It says a holdover, it says blah, 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 provided further that a holdover shall not be allowed for any water rights that have been also subject to a petition to amend the interim in-stream flow standard for the same waters under section 174C 1-71(2). So I'm actually a bit loath to now say that, okay, now we're going to bar them. So I understand the dichotomy of this. But my point is a challenge to the members here. If we are not trying to give special consideration to overturn the judicial process, then I don't see why we would oppose this amendment. This amendment is specifically to clarify that we're not trying to interfere with the in-stream flow standards, the process, the Water Commission, and then ultimately the Land Board. You notice I haven't talked about revocable permits because that's a whole separate question. The Land Board issues and manages revocable permits. They need to probably be more efficient on that, but for us to clobber DLNR and say it's all your fault, that's incorrect. So there is a process. This whole piece of legislation would seek to impede that. And so in order for me to feel comfortable, if it were going into conference, this amendment is a very reasonable and rational amendment, and I hope the members can support it. Thank you.